The impact of sexual violence on victims and workplaces. This video will answer the questions, what are common reactions to sexual violence? And how does sexual violence impact a victim's health, relationships, and work? While every survivor's experience in recovery is different, many individuals experience common reactions to sexual violence, whether immediately after the trauma or years later. Common emotional reactions include feelings of disbelief, sadness, anxiety, anger, or feeling numb. Physically, a victim may suffer from aches and pains, upset stomach, nightmares, post-traumatic stress disorder, or may experience an increased startle response. Trauma also impacts the victim mentally. Victims may experience flashbacks or have difficulty concentrating. Lastly, the trauma of sexual violence may cause a victim to be hypervigilant, to avoid people or places, or to suffer from eating disorders or substance abuse. Sexual violence can also impact a survivor's relationships. A survivor may have difficulty with intimacy, may fear being alone or fear leaving the house, may experience a loss of trust in self and others, and may withdraw from people, relationships, or activities. Sexual violence can also impact a victim's health. Survivors of sexual violence are 3 times more likely to suffer from depression, 4 times more likely to contemplate suicide, and 6 times more likely to suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder. More than 32,000 pregnancies result from rape every year. Many survivors experience chronic health conditions, and in severe cases, victims experience debilitating injuries or even death. Lastly, sexual violence may impact a victim's work or schooling. One study showed that over a third of rape victims missed more than 10 days of work after an incident of sexual violence. A 2006 study found that over 100,000 victims were fired or asked to leave their job because they were stalked. And one estimate finds that lifetime income loss nears $250,000. In our own survey of domestic violence and sexual assault victims, 71% of victims had difficulty focusing while at work. Over half experienced post-traumatic stress syndrome that impacted their work. Nearly 50% were not as productive while at work, and a third of victims were fearful for their safety while in the workplace. Student survivors of sexual violence face a host of challenges. Sexual assault may cause a student to miss classes more frequently or to reduce their course load, often as a result of social withdrawal or an effort to avoid the perpetrator. Student victims regularly withdraw from courses altogether, and in some cases, victims may feel forced to leave school or transfer to another college.